Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, well today we're going to be installing a new set of leaf springs. These are from CJ Classics from CJ Pony. They're just stock standard replacement leaf springs there, the 4-leaf kinds there. You can get upgrades and that kind of stuff, but I really just want a stock ride. That's what I'm looking for. And so I got stock replacement ones. I've recently there replaced my whole front end with new springs and new parts. I went back with stock on there other than some upgraded shocks. But the stock ones is what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm going to get here. The reason I chose this thing, what I like a lot about the stuff from CJ Pony is they make kits. So you can go out there and buy a spring, and then that's fine. Well, if you want U-bolts, you're going to need U-bolts, and then you might have to buy the nuts separately. And then the shackles, you're going to have to buy the individual bushings, the shackles, the bolts. The chances of not getting something or getting the wrong stuff, or what usually happens is you cheapen out and not get something, which is a mistake. All they had to do is just pick out one thing, hit order, and it's got everything. So this kit here comes with, and they basically just bundle this all together. Someone thinks this out ahead of time, says, hey, you need all these 10 different items for this one spring kit, and then they ship it to you, and it's good to go. So it comes with the 2 sets of leaf springs, which is nice. This one's already got a rubber bushing already installed. Comes with the new front bolts and nuts to go on there. All new U-bolts and nuts to go with it for both sides. And it comes with all new shackles, bolts, and the new rubber bushings that you need for that as well. So it's really just drop out the old one, put in the new. And dropping out the old one might be easier said than done. We're going to be doing a lot of penetrating oil ahead of time. But it's kind of nice to get it all in one kit. Not have to worry about forgetting something or not clicking on enough nuts or some other darn thing like that. So stock replacement, hopefully this should be pretty easy to do. Again, it's all going to come down to whether or not the old stuff will come off. Everything has a tendency to get rusty, but we'll just, between a lot of penetrating oil, heat, and big wrenches, we'll get that thing off one way or the other. So with that, this should be a pretty nice kit, a pretty nice installation. Again, with the new front springs and stuff I got on there as well, this will level everything off. Go drive it a little bit there to get everything where it'll settle in. But this will get the car riding back the way it should be, back to its normal ride height where it's not sagging, and then give me a nice good ride again in the car. So hopefully an easy upgrade, so let's get after it. All right, folks, I got my car up here on some jack stands underneath the subframe. I also got a jack here underneath the differential, and I'm going to end up with some jack stands under here in a minute. What we have to have the car supported up because we got to take the weight off the spring in order to get this off here. And then when we take off our plate here that holds the axle to the leaf spring here, the axle is just going to want to shoot up here. So we got to take a little jack or something here and put a little bit of pressure on this thing here. So what we're going to end up doing is lowering this jack down to where there's no pressure, and then jacking it up just a tad bit. That'll remove the tension of the axle off the spring, and the spring will just be sitting in here. So then we're going to want to get up here and take this nut off. There's a bolt on the other side. You can't see it there. I got this stuff soaking. I'm going to wire brush it. Get that one off here. In the back side here is where up on the top there where you can't really see, there's a couple of bolts there. We got to take off the shackle. I got those soaking. Those will loosen the spring off the car. We're then going to need to come under here and take this axle plate off here. So you got your 4 U-bolts here I got soaking. You see it's all over my hand. We're going to take that off and do it there. I'm also going to remove my shock. I think that's going to be easier. So I'm going to take this bowl off here as well and lift the shock out of there, so that way I can just drop this plate down. So that's what we're going to do. I've got this stuff soaking, and I'm going to wire brush it, and I'm going to hope it all comes off. And yeah, that'll get started here. Hopefully there's no other issues. You never know when you get started on something like this, but we're gonna get after it. So let me get after it. All right, folks, so I've got my front bolt here loose. I've got everything still kind of together. I'm gonna take that off and push that out. You can see here, I've got my bottom piece off. You don't need to take the shock off here, as I found out. I thought this would be easier. Sorry you can't see that. This is welded on here, so I'm gonna have to cut that off. The next thing is we got to get up there and do this. I've got all this loose, but let's go and look at a new one, and I'll show you what we got to do. All right, so here's our shackle right here. This side goes to the spring eye. This one goes up through the frame. We've taken off these two nuts here. When you get your first one here, don't panic, because I started to look at this thing here. You take this off, it's like, how in the heck do you get that through that spring eye? Well, I didn't notice here initially here, but these actually come apart. You can see there, let me get a screwdriver here, sorry. But you can see these actually come apart. And so what we're gonna do is, once we get this off, we're gonna pull this off. Then we're gonna get in there with like a screwdriver or something and try to wedge these out. So when I do this right here, this one's stuck, I can't do it with my hand. But when you pull these off here, your spring eye should come out like that. So we're gonna drop the front one, and then we're gonna try moving the spring over here and take this off. And then we're gonna beat this one here out to get this out of the upper frame, and then we'll be good to go. Then it's just reversing, I just can't do anything with the lights. It's gonna be reversing the flow on that one. So let me get after it. All right, folks. So I finally got my spring out here. A couple things there. So this nut on this side came loose. So it's like, man, that's really excited about that. But the bolt was frozen in there, and it's all rusted inside here. And anytime you turned it, it just tried to turn this rubber. It took forever. I was just trying to move it one way, move it the other way, soak it, soak it, soak it, soak it. I finally, after a long time, got that thing out of there. The other things was these bushings. They were stuck in the frame. Same thing, they were put in dry, and I could not get them out. I've had to heat them, beat them, try to melt them, WD them, hours. Finally got them out. So when we're putting this thing back together, what I like to do is grease everything. So I've greased this thing here on the back side. I've greased this bolt, or this shackle, slid these on, re-greased everything, re-greased the inside of my perch there. And so we're going to go back here and slide this section on. I'll show you that. Then we'll go ahead and bolt up our center section, and then we're going to go do this section up here too. When I do this one here, I don't have grease on this now, but we're going to grease the outside, and we are going to grease the bolt, and we're going to grease that little this little thing here. Make sure it's got plenty of grease on the inside there, so it doesn't rust and corrode like the last one does there. So thankfully there, I had to give up on it yesterday and came out this morning, and thankfully it was in a better mood and came out. So I'm going to go there and get this thing set back. We'll get this one put in, just set in there, and then I'll show you where we're at. All right, folks, I've got this up in there. Not too hard. It's on a third hand would be good, but yeah, you just put these in here. I like to do this side first, and we'll stick the single end on there, but yeah, just grease them. The bushings go in easy. Just tighten the bolts up, nice and good. Now we're going to go up to the front side and do that one. That'll be real easy as well. Again, we're going to grease that whole thing up. We're going to grease the bolt, we're going to grease the inside, and we're going to grease the outside of that bushing. Make sure everything's good and greased. All right, we got our front one up here. I just got a screwdriver in there right now, holding it up, and then I'll use this to kind of help center it. But I got our bolt down here all lubed up. You want to make sure you stick your old big flat washer on this side here. It doesn't come with a new one, so you got to reuse your old one. But now we'll stick that through there, and I'll use the screwdriver here to kind of, you know, center it, and then that'll be done. All right, getting ready for our U-bolts here. You want to make sure you put a good amount of anti-seize stuff on here. This will keep those nuts from freezing up on it the next time. Also, you notice they're bare steel. So once we get this all together, you're going to want to circle back and shoot some spray paint, some good anti-rust spray paint over top of that stuff there so it doesn't rust on you. But make sure you put anti-seize on your bolts, and then your nuts there won't get stuck on them. So I'm going to go over here and put these on. Alright folks, so I got my axle down. You can see it's sitting on top of the centering pin on your spring. So we got to wiggle this thing a little bit here to get that thing to fall in a little bit. I can't do it with one hand. So make sure that this thing sits all the way in flush before you go ahead and put your bottom plate and your U-bolts on. All right, got our bottom plate on. So everything's nice and can't really see. Everything's nice and flush up there. Sorry you can't see. Everything's looking good. Got everything tight. I'm just gonna go around here and touch up some of these U-bolts here with a little rust inhibitive paint, and that's it there. Obviously there we got to hook our shock back on. I don't have a shock in here at the moment, but obviously the last thing you want to do is put your shock on. Go ahead and double check all your bolts there and make sure you got them all tight, all your shackles and your front bushing there on that front spring. Get all that stuff tight. But that's it. This wasn't the easiest thing in the world. It's a simple job, but the front bolt of this I-spring up here, where it is up there on that one there, was frozen in there. I couldn't get it out. That took a heck of a lot of time. And then these rear shackle bushings, as they go through the frame up on the top there, the god darn bushings were stuck in the frame. And it took hours. But that's how everything goes for me. This is some old crap, and so you just got to anticipate it. But put enough grease in there. Hopefully next time that won't be an issue. But that's really it. Replacing the spring. I just got to go do the other side. So hope yours goes easier than mine did. So yeah, hope yours goes easier than mine does, and take care.